Hello and welcome, friend. Today I'm going to teach you one of my favorite tarot spreads. I'm currently recording this in January of 2021, and I'm choosing this one for the month of January because it's all about the road ahead. So we've started a new year. Some of us have got New Year's resolutions that are still functioning, others not. This is a chance for us to look at the road ahead. So it's a simple 4 card spread. It works equally well with tarot and other cards. I'll demonstrate it first with tarot so you can see it working. Then we'll go into a little bit more depth. So let's switch over to the amazing tarot cam. Here is my table. Here are my cards. I'm going to be using these Cam 1 Jodorowsky Tarot today. They are a Marseille deck, but of course this will work with everything. I'm going to get out my trusty pen, and I'm going to draw out the spread so that we can see it. So this is called the road ahead, or the journey, or the path ahead, because as you will see, it's very literally a road. Maybe there's some scenery up here. Oh, the scenery's behind me. Some mountains up here. That looks more like broccoli. Nature. I'm leaving this space here for a reason. So, this is a graphical representation of a beautiful road. This is where we are now. That's where we're heading. So, those are the first 2 cards that we're going to have. We're going to have 1 card here, and that represents now, like the present moment where we currently are on this journey. Right now, the here and now. Now. We also will be drawing another card up here, which is our destination. So it's the future. It's where we're heading towards. It might be, in the metaphor of the road, it might be the signpost that we're heading towards. It might not be the final intended destination, but it's what we've currently set our path towards. So that might be a goal that we have, like a financial goal, or a health goal, or a relationship goal, or a personal self-fulfillment goal, or it could just be something like a vague feeling, like something you just generally want more of. But let's think of that as the destination. I'm going to write destiny because I'm running out of space. That would be an interesting 2 cards, but let's also look at something that we could expect as a roadblock in the road ahead. So something that might be something to look out for, something to pay attention to. In the context of a road, it could be like an oil slick on the road, or it could be a diversion, or it could be traffic, or it could just be the road being longer than we anticipated, or it could be anything. So in this metaphor of between here and our destination, it's possible that we will encounter some bumpy road. So let's draw a card to give us something to reflect on about what that could be. And I'm going to call that Beware. Beware. And if we're going to encounter something that might be troublesome, it would be great as well to have a clue as to how we can overcome it, or bypass it, or preempt it. So let's draw our 4th and final card for that kind of inspiration of how to overcome. Do you get it? This is like a diversion around the thing, maybe? I'm going to call this our secret superpower, because very often that's what we use to overcome obstacles. Superpower. The pen's away. It's time for us to draw those cards. I'm going to cut 4 cards. 1 for now. 1 for destiny. So that's the goal that we're heading towards. 1 for something to beware that's going to block our path or may slow us down somewhat. And 1 final card for this, our superpower that's going to get us beyond it. So that's going to get us around. There's a destiny, there's a beware. Okay. So it's time for our reading. So I'm going to look at this as our journey ahead. So relevant to me, but hopefully also relevant to you. Something for us to think about for the right now. Let's begin here. This is the 2 of Wands, or batons. So, batons is all about fire, motivation, inspiration. It's a useful tool. It's like a magic wand. It's going to be the thing that we use to direct our passion towards where we want to go. And 2 is all about this kind of balance, maybe even about intuition. So it's a very interesting point. So now, a big theme to think about for our now is this 2 of Wands. So right now in the present moment, if you're watching this in January, at the start of 2021, it could be that we have that fire in our belly for making something of the year, for really making something of this journey. Last year, especially, threw a lot of spanners in the works in all different ways. So this maybe encapsulates the fact that we have this motivation, this fire, that energy of fire in our belly's desire to create something. And that's something to really focus on. 2 is this idea of duality and connection. So it could well be that it's that energy in the context of balancing it, maybe finding the right balance so that we have the momentum to continue and not burn out too quickly. So it's maybe about pacing ourselves. So that's something about where we're at right now. So to think and reflect on what those things are, this kind of fire in our belly. So let's think about that. The Destiny card. The Queen of Coins. So this, the suit of coins, is about wealth. So, but wealth in all of its senses. So it might be that we are heading towards a financial goal or something that's richness in some other way, because the coins also represent earth and our senses. So all of our 5 or more senses of taste and touch and the way that we connect with the world. The Queen specifically is this kind of powerful figure and is very often connected to the idea of water because it's a nurturing kind of character. So anything that you would associate with the stereotypes of feminine, this kind of caring, nurturing, you can see here in this picture, this person's really kind of reflecting on this coin that they're holding. So the destiny that we're heading towards is maybe this feeling of wanting to have this more natural sense of wealth, this something that's not cold, but something that's very compassionate, so that it has this warmth to it. So even if we're heading towards, hopefully by the end of the year, being a little bit richer, whether that's financially or in terms of enriched emotionally or intellectually, we have this kind of, we're heading from this place of fire to this place of water, to more of a flow state, more of a kind of being the river. So that's the journey that we're currently on. That's our now, and that's the future that we're heading towards. Let's have a look at the roadblock that's in the way, this thing that we should maybe beware of. Ooh. So this card is strength. So in this card we see this beast seemingly being tamed by this perhaps lady. It's a very ambiguous card because in some representations of strength there's a real fight going on. In others it's a very gentle touch that's causing this wild beast to be tamed. So strength. Now I personally am connecting this fiery beast to the fire that we had before. And I'm connecting this kind of more nurturing, more careful form of strength. This is not so much about brute strength and aggression, but it's about this interplay between this very fiery feeling and this more watery feeling, this queen. This could even possibly be the same person. So something to be aware of is this struggle between those two cards, this struggle between this fire and passion, and how do we move from that kind of energy into a more nurturing, more caring, more gentle, compassionate, connected to others kind of existence. So something to beware of is maybe that it will be difficult to make that transition. If we're currently feeling that this is the start of a year and we want to really make something of it and we want to get out there and be quite kind of aggressive and other words like aggressive, definitely proactive, but kind of wanting to really conquer things, how do we move from that energy into the gentler, more regal, more calm and controlled, nurturing existence. So the thing to beware of is that actually we might lose our way a little bit. So in our metaphor of the road, it's probably that we're on one road, we need to be on a different road, we need to not miss our turning. We need to know when to leave behind that kind of aggressive spark and transition. So how are we going to keep our eyes open and not miss that turning and not miss that transition that we need to do somewhere in the middle of the year? We're going to use our superpower, the moon. The moon is a fantastic card. I find the moon very, very interesting. I think of the moon very much as the card of the artist, because what is the moon? The moon is this body that's orbiting us. It's always rotating around us, and every month or so it's done another kind of cycle of its lunar, goes full and new and back again. And it's there very often at night time, reflecting the sunlight. So when it gets dark at night time, the moon is there reflecting the sun's energy, basically, so that we can see our path. So when it gets dark, when the moon is full, it's reflecting lots of light down to us. But reflected light is much more like reflecting and much more artistic presence. So this moon card, for me, that means that we should take time and reflect, engage our creativity, engage our artistic musings. Maybe I always see it as a reminder to think in the medium term, because the sun we see renewed every day, but the moon is renewed once a month. So it's taking a slightly longer, slightly more artistic, maybe even poetic approach. So in our road for the year ahead, maybe that's the way that we're going to make sure that we don't miss our turning. It's maybe about us proactively telling stories about the turnings we've taken on previous journeys. How have we known that we were on the right path, and how have we seen our road ahead in the past? It might be about storytelling and telling stories about the future as well. So being this more artistic person, going from this kind of ambitious, maybe entrepreneurial feeling, the way to not lose our way when we're trying to get to our goal is to be this slightly more artistic, slightly more poetic. So exploring hobbies that we've maybe not touched for a long time, whether those are crafty, creative things, or whether it's books or movies, or whether it's sport and exercise, the things that help keep us flow and keep us thinking in a different way. So that's an example of this reading, looking at the road ahead. So that's the spread that I wanted to teach you for January. This is one of my favourites for having a conversation, either with myself or with whoever I'm reading for, about what lies ahead, about some of the challenges that can lie ahead, some of the ways that we could get around them, helping us to clarify what we're choosing as our destination or our destiny, exactly where we are now, and what there is to learn from it. So that's an interesting spread. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you use it. I do want to show you one exciting special thing. So this example was using tarot, but let me show you how much more depth there is if we use exactly this spread, and instead of tarot, we use Oracolarium. So I have here Oracolarium, and I'm going to show you how this spread becomes even more powerful with Oracolarium because of the connections between the different areas. I'll show you what I mean. So let's look specifically at the year ahead, but this time with some messages from Oracolarium. So where are we now? A card to reflect on for the now. The Void. For me, this is incredibly appropriate. I am currently in North London in our third full lockdown. I'm very much in the void again, where I can leave my house for some exercise, but there's nothing cultural happening. There's no social things happening. Any interactions I have to be through screens. I feel very much in this void again, in this kind of limbo state, and it's not clear for any of us how long this will take. I'm very, very fortunate to be in limbo. There are people in much worse positions. I'm very grateful. But for me, I feel very much like I'm still in this limbo. I feel like 2020 hasn't fully left. So this void really resonates deeply for me right now in January of 2021. Where I'm heading, absolutely, this is incredibly relevant for me. I'm single. 2020 was going to be my year for being more social, having more of a work-life balance, and that's not been accomplished because there's been no work nor any life. The limbo continues. But the destiny for this year absolutely is to have more love, not just romantic, but this kind of tango dance, this relationship with everyone, like sharing better connections, keeping in touch, even if that's video calling with people and collaborating over distance. So absolutely, this is spookily accurate. Something that Oracolarium is telling me to beware of this year. So, Oracolarium is telling me that I should beware of the stranger. The stranger is this card of chaos, of unexpected, of a strange influence coming in from the outside, something that was not necessarily invited, that comes into our environment with strange music, with strange stories, with strange words that change perspectives, that seem to turn things on their head. A strange and mysterious influence. So maybe it's warning me to be very careful of this information that's coming in from the outside. I'm relying entirely on digital communications, and it's very difficult to make sure that you're getting accurate information in this age of information overload. So I am being warned to be careful, perhaps careful what I believe, careful who I listen to, because those things could set me off course. In this metaphor of a road, it could be that misinformation or misunderstanding or some dishonesty is the thing that could put me on the wrong path, so I don't achieve the goal that I'm looking for. So that's I should be aware of. But the superpower that I can use... Ooh, this is an interesting one. The superpower that I can use is this. Melancholy. Melancholy is about this feeling of having everything, but feeling that something's missing. This feeling of incomplete. This feeling of something lacking. This kind of awareness of a slight emptiness. And it can be, you could be the richest person in the world, but still feel melancholic. So it's very much this emotion. And in this image, we see the incredible Pi the Mime perfectly representing melancholy. In rich clothing, with a beautiful home, with the tree in full bloom, with a beautiful fan and flowers, with even that mask in the tree, which for me represents the theatres that I wish that we could go to right now, but they're all closed. So melancholy is a really interesting superpower. Perhaps it's a reminder for me that happiness isn't rooted in any of those material things. Is that having a big house or having expensive clothes don't bring happiness. So it's a reminder that even though maybe we're in this limbo time, is that I can overcome this disinformation by remembering that happiness comes from within. It's not something that's external in any way. That's a very interesting and very profound thing to reflect on. But let me show you, there's this very interesting thing that happens with Oracolarium. Because all the cards share connections, it adds another layer to our reading. So here's something that's not possible if you're using other decks. So this is something that's very specific to Oracolarium. Let's have a look at the Void and Destiny, because they both share an object. Do you know what it is? In love, there's a painting of a flower, a very specific flower. And in the Void, growing on the surface of the home planet, there is a flower just in this corner. So we have that same flower. So flower is all about vulnerability. It's like the beauty of nature, but it's this thing that's very delicate, that to be nurtured and to grow and achieve its beauty, it would be very easily trampled. It's easily picked. It would be easily destroyed. But part of its beauty is that fragility, is is the fact that the flower doesn't last forever. It's only here for a season. And so it's always a reminder to appreciate the beautifulness of the beauty of the things around us. Beautifulness? Beauty of the things around us, which are fragile and vulnerable, and we can learn from them by being fragile and vulnerable ourselves. And did you notice melancholy also has that very same flower growing? So all three of these cards share this concept of vulnerability. And you see the one card that doesn't have it is the warning, is this beware. In this card, we do not have that vulnerable flower. So this spread could be telling me to beware of not being authentic. Be aware of maybe not being vulnerable enough in myself, being open and honest and truthful and uninhibited. So that's a very interesting thing. You can go much deeper in the reading as well, because you can look at all of the objects that the stranger shares with the others. For example, the stranger does have something in common with melancholy, which is that cloud in the sky. So even though it's something to beware of, it's also part of my superpower, part of our superpower. So this cloud is about things being cloudy, about being not clear, about not necessarily being able to see very far ahead. So one of the warnings is things won't be clear. But part of my superpower is the ability to reflect on that and to try and find the inner happiness, even though things outside might be unclear. We can also see the thing that takes us from the void to the stranger is this musical note. That's what they share. So the musical note takes us from the void to the stranger. I'm going to draw these. And the thing that the stranger and love share is this little gremlin-y gargoyle who exists, and that's our kind of fear and doubt. So the thing that my beware card is going to stop me from reaching love, the thing that they share, is this gargoyle-y gremlin, which I've drawn very badly, but it's this representation of doubt, inner doubt, and that's the thing that we're going to have to bypass by going around. So you can see that Oracolarium offers all of this extra richness by looking at the things that all of these cards have in common, as well as what makes them different. So I hope you enjoy exploring this spread, both with tarot and with Oracolarium. I find it a really useful, very interesting spread. I'd be very interested to hear what you think, what you enjoy with it. Have great success with it. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm also going to say a very special thank you to all of the people who are here as part of our Patreon. So those of you watching this may well be members of the Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. It's thanks to you and your amazingness that we are able to continue sharing some of these tools with you. We'd love to hear what you think, what you discover on your travels. Also, obviously, if you know anyone that you would like to join us on this adventure too, please do let them know, because it's word of mouth that we've created everything we create upon. Do you create upon word of mouth? But it's only thanks to people like you talking about us that anyone hears about us. So I hope this has been a useful spread for you. I'm creating this in, as I said, January of 2021. If you're watching this now in January, I hope that this year brings you all sorts of wonderful success and delights and magic and happy memories that you'll cherish for a very long time. Let's go out and make this an amazing year. If you're watching this sometime in the future, the same still applies, because life is this continuous journey, and at any point we can choose for it to be the start of a new chapter and a new year. So this is a wonderful spread that I hope you use, and I look forward to hearing your feedback on it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to sharing much more magic with you very soon. Thanks, bye!